All right, once again, good morning and welcome everybody to today's edition of our class. This is Grow Your Business program by Black Umbrellas. And my name is Tonito Samuel, and I am Fanello and Cyril will be your anchor team for this program, for the entire journey of this program. And we represent Siwaju Consulting, and it's been applying pressure meeting all of you yesterday. And of course, I know we've been in communication a couple of weeks now, but yesterday we got the opportunity to actually kickstart this beautiful life transforming program, I believe, and business repositioning program that you all have enrolled for. Yesterday, we had quite an hectic program in terms of how the internet made our life a bit miserable. But today, I think we're in a more better position to drive through and enjoy the rest of the sessions. Yesterday, we kind of got more glitches when we started talking about the Javelin experimentation board. And I did promise all of us that we were going to do a rehash of where we stopped yesterday, and perhaps just for 5 to 10 minutes, take a quick toll on this, then we would drive into today's class. So yesterday, I just want to quickly summarize what the Javelin experimentation board is about. I believe Cyril and Fanello took their time to want to explain what this board is about. And in summary, this board just helps us in capturing the entire framework of the lean startup model that we were teaching you yesterday. This board helps you to actually bring to life and practicalize the concept of lean startup model, which allows your business to go through the journey of hypothesis without you basically kind of testing your ideas or your products with a fewer group, and ensuring that you're not just building what people do not want, but rather you're building what the market really wants, based on the fact that you've gone to experiment by first taking time to evaluate the market. And how do you evaluate the market? You've gone out there to ask the right question, gotten feedback, and based on the feedback, you are building a solution that meets the customer's pain points, okay? And so from the very first board, the first thing that Infanello did say to us, and Siri, was on the left-hand side, you need to list out your top 5 clients or customers. And on your experimentation on the right, just take one client, okay? And then when you take that one client, the second column speaks about you assuming based on your own assessment of this client. So you will pencil down what you think is the problem of this client, okay? And then, so you pencil that problem on the right-hand side. Then you also pencil down what you think is a probable solution, but of course, that place is always left blank because you cannot just start designing a solution without you knowing what exactly the client really wants you to solve for them. Now, the fourth column talks about when you now go calling that client or having one-on-one face-off with that client, or sitting down with that client to actually interview that client or interrogate the business model and see if indeed what you thought was the problem is really the problem. And in this case, we discovered that no, the problem that you thought was the problem is not the problem that the client really wants you to solve. So, but it is only after you've done that that you will go back and now start profiling a solution or designing a solution. Now, one of the benefits of this thing is that the Javelin experimentation board is actually a tool that helps you validate ideas through experimentation, hypothesis, assumptions, define methods and sources criteria, okay? Get out of the building and collect data, which is key. Now, one of the biggest challenges that we face as small business owners is sometimes we are running our businesses without accurate information, without accurate insights or data that would help us analyze a problem or probable solutions, okay? So what this does for you, by the time you are able to go out and interview your clients or interview your customers, the feedback is you've actually gone out there to collect data. And when you collect those data and collate them, it's easier for you to tell which streams or which pipelines you need to focus on, okay? And of course, the overall benefit of this tool is that it helps you to take decisions that pivot your business, okay? Now, so in summary, how do you turn your ideas into experiments? Okay, test the riskiest assumptions, okay, which is key. How do you turn ideas into experiments? Now, without the framework of the Lean Startup model or the Javelin experimentation model, we easily would teach you turn ideas into ideal businesses or turn ideas into products quickly. Now, but many times that is where we lose out on money. Are we together? That is where we lose out on money. All right. So I need all of you to do me a favor. Like I said, just turn on your microphone. And if you have any questions, talk to me on the go. All right. Because I'm sharing a screen here, I think that's a challenge with the Microsoft Teams tool. Unlike Zoom, if you're sharing a screen, you can still see all your participants and every question, everything is under one view for you. So if you have any question, please don't hesitate to pop me in and just talk to me quickly. All right. So like I did say, this experimentation board allows you to turn your ideas into experiments first. So you need to have a test version. So for those of us who deal within the tech space, you discover that many times they tell you that there is a beta version of a product. It is not yet the final product. So meaning it's still in the test phase, still in an experimentation model, but it is launched and we're using it to just build our framework and experiment and see how things are going to pan out. Okay. So one of the benefits is that this helps you to test your riskiest assumptions. What is the worst case scenario? What is the least possible assumption? The riskiest. And when we talk about the riskiest, it could be that this will consume more money or the least likely possibility of this idea working. This framework allows you the opportunity to test it quickly. All right? It allows you the opportunity for you to pull it through and test quickly. Okay? The other thing that this does for you as well is that you can define your experiments. You can get out of the building and of course get data, which is key, which is what I've explained initially. You can review your data and feedbacks into business model canvas, which is definitely the classes we'll be touching today. Now, so it is one thing to design an experiment. I mean, to run an experiment and gather information or data. Now, you need that data to build a model. And I used to say to people, you cannot have a business model if you've not tested something. You need to test something before you say, okay, this is the model that works for me, okay? Why? Because sometimes within your business plan framework or within your idea book or your dream book framework, there are few thoughts in your heart for the business that you have that you think, oh, doing this is going to work. Until you get out there, you now discover, oh, it's actually not working. So this is actually what works. It is in you getting that experience through that experimental phase of your business that brings you into the place where you now can say, this is a model that works for me. And you're also going to take rational decisions because in a business, what makes you a business leader, what galvanizes your business leadership skill is your ability to take decisions. And as a business owner, as a business leader, you're always going to be faced with a chance to make a choice every now and then. And the choices you make has the capacity to make your business or mark those businesses. And of course, what this first experimental framework that we've taken you through, which is the Lean Business Startup, is that it helps you to now transition your business into the next stage, which is where you now develop the business model. And those are the things that we will be touching on today. All right? So look at how it works. There are three areas of hypothesis in every on the Javelin board framework. First is the customer. You need to understand what this customer is. You need to be able to identify the problem, not just based on assumption, but also based on what you have verified, okay? You have to have verified it. And how do you verify? You must have had a chat, a conversation with those customers. Then based on what you've observed and verified, then you can craft a solution. And based on that solution, that is what defines for you a model that you can implement for the business going forward. Okay, so now this is how it works. So this is your area of brainstorming. This is your area to execute. So under the area of your brainstorming section, you have to put yourself to the task to think outside the box based on what you have assumed and what verified. And based on those information gathered, then you will come to start creating solutions and actionable solutions, things that you can act upon immediately. Okay? And that is what it is. Now, let me quickly touch base and again, a quick summary of this section. Why we've decided to help small businesses run through the lean startup model and framework is because we've come to understand that many times when we are dreaming, a lot of times we don't see the processes. So when you are having a business vision, when you're dreaming about your business, when you're thinking about the possibilities of the business, which is one of the big things that we encourage every business owner to do, is you've got to see the bigger picture. You've got to see the bigger picture. You've got to see this business in the light of what it is going to be, okay? You've got to see it for what it is and see it for the possibilities of what it can become. And many times we are always glued to what it can become. Oh, if I produce this product and sell, and 1 million people use my product and I sell at 10 Rand, that is me making 10 million Rand every month. That's how we see businesses. That's how we see business ideas. And whenever a vision comes to you, whenever an idea comes to you, that's the only way it comes. So it comes with a trailer of what it can become. Now, the lean startup model teaches you on how to create the first step on how to start. So this is the mistake a lot of startups make. A lot of us, especially at this startup level, is we pour the entire resources we have trying to build a trailer, not a business. We're trying to make a trailer instead of making the movie itself. Forgetting that you can only craft out a trailer from the content of a movie. Am I talking to you? Am I making sense? So this class is helping you now understand that, hey, do I need R1 million or do I need 10,000 or 100,000 Rand? Let's say for just an example now. I need 100,000 Rand to kickstart my business. Should you find Table Hall give you 100,000 Rand? If you do not go through this process of understanding that you need to test and experiment your idea and see if there's a market for it, if there's a need for it, if you're actually meeting a customer segment's problem and solving the problem, you would, at the first initial stage of your business, you would have plugged in the entire resources into this business and you would have made a mess of that 100,000 Rand. I'm telling you this because some of us made similar mistakes when we kickstarted our businesses. The idea was fresh and we poured in money developing stuff without carrying out an experiment and looking for the least possible way, the most cost-effective way to try it out first, okay? And we paid dearly for it now, because if you blew up 100,000 Rand at the first 6 months of your business trying to build something, it's going to be difficult for you to find another 100,000 Rand. You get the point. So the whole idea is, what if I tested this model with 10,000 Rand? With this 10,000 Rand, I would have learned my errors, made the mistake I need to make. Now I still have 90,000 Rand in my buffer, so I can still try out with another 30,000 Rand and see how this pans out. Correct the few errors I've made within the 10,000 Rand with an extra cash injection and see how that can translate into a success. And so that's what this entire framework does for you, okay? And a question?
Yeah, I just want to clarify anything to say, yes, there was expensive school fees.
You said what?
100,000 was expensive school fees.
That's true. It was really an expensive school fees. And you know the truth is, when you've blown 100,000 Rand, two things happens to you. You don't have the courage to go ask for another money. Everything within your system tells you you're not good enough to do business, but that's not true. It's just that you did not go through the process of learning how to do business the right way. So what Lean Startup does for you is, for those of us who started before we're about to kickstart and we are going to be remodeling our business framework, what this does for you is that this is going to now help you to rethink the model, to say, hey, yes, I know I would need 100 people as my staff member, but I need to start with 1 or 2 and see the input or the outcome of the input of those 2 people that I've injected into the business. So what result does these two people give to me? What is the capacity of these two people? Okay, now, do you know what that has done for you? You have saved the budget, the overhead of paying salaries for 98 people at the startup stage. Now, there is a reason why it is called startup, because at startup, nobody expects you to have the entire full-fledged momentum that you're going to pour into the business, okay? We do not expect you to have the momentum and all the resources and all the tools. No, we expect you to have a place, a model, a region or a community, a suburb where you're operating and where you're serving a very miniature customer base. And it is in the understanding of, oh, now I get this right and I'm doing this right with these people, we can now start scaling. Are you getting it? You can now start scaling. Are we together?
Can I just ask something?
Yes, please.
You mentioned that if you're raising the capital, you must ensure that obviously the capital that you're raising is sufficient for sort of more than one strategy, such that if one strategy sort of fails, you still have enough capital to sort of pursue another strategy without actually you having to go out again to source capital.
Yeah.
Now, that works, but how do you then implement it? Because especially in our economic climate, whenever you're raising capital, the first aspect is that it's so limited and scarce, and people have such a high paranoia of releasing funds that often when they actually give you capital, they've actually limited it to almost like say strategy. So for example, if I'm selling, let's say I want to sell certain cuisines in Santi, right?
Yeah.
And then I raise capital for about 200,000 to have a stand and everything.
Yeah.
And then I go out there and I start selling maybe the first day. But then on the second day, somebody comes through and says, look, the business establishments here are not happy with you selling here, first and foremost because they've got canteens inside. Plus, there's other bylaws that the city of Joburg has that actually, sort of limits one's ability to just be a vendor outside of business parks and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, in that event, I would have invested the full 200,000 on the basis that there's specific clients outside these business parks. So if I go back to the drawing board and then decide, look, maybe I should actually need more capital and then maybe have a mobile sort of van like they do in the United States with those moving trucks that actually sell food. Then I go back to the same guy to actually say, look, that 200,000 that you gave me, I actually need more money now. Maybe give me 300 to 500,000 because I've revised my strategy.
Yeah.
The first thing he'll ask me is, okay, so what happened with the first 100,000 and 200,000?
Good.
And then I tell him what happened. And then he'll probably his sense of risk appetite at that particular point will be just dramatically high. He'll be more reluctant to actually give me more money because he believes he's losing faith in the business.
Yes.
But if I go to him in the beginning and I say I want 8 million, and I say to him I want 8 million because I want to sell food outside of park, he'll first say, okay, but how much money do you actually stand on making in that level? My payback period maybe is only sufficient for 200,000 at that particular point in time.
Yeah.
So he doesn't give me so there's always that thing. So how do you balance that?
Okay, so now let me tell you how you balance this. Now, at your very experimentation stage of a business, we do not expect you to go borrow money or go take a loan or go raise capital. It is not the time to raise capital. It is actually the time where you inject your own money and few friends or family will believe in what you're talking about. And many times at that stage, people don't even believe in the dream. They're just investing in you, all right? So at that stage, I do not expect you to go talk. Come to think about it. Imagine if you have done your experiment. So you've seen. Because part of the experiment is you're going to ask questions. So now you want to sell outside a business park where there are other restaurants selling out there. And you want to just park a van there and start selling. Definitely, if the management had not given you permission to stay there, to do business there, all right? So it's one thing is, so if the management have not given you permission and you just rocked up there, what you've just done, you've actually risked the entire money you've invested in the van and the food and the business on a chance, because it simply means that someday, somewhere, the management can just call the police to come get you out of that place. But imagine if you've gone through the process, which is going to do your proper research. I want to sell in a business park, okay? Now, the class we're going to start right away now, which is the business model canvas, will tell you, okay, who are my key partners? I need the business pack owners to have a conversation with them. I need to have access to this pack without being disturbed by any other person. So imagine if you go to Santen and you've spoken to the management of the Mandela Square or the Santen Convention management, you've spoken to them. You get what I'm saying? Now, even if a KFC comes to bully you there, you don't have business with KFC. You know why? Because the management gave you rights to be there. You get my point? So you can tell any other business owner inside who tells you, yeah, because you're selling, you're disturbing my business inside. You tell them, go talk to the management. I've got a business with you. Are you getting my point? Because at that point in time, you already have a strategic partnership, an alliance with the owners of the park. So that is you having a strong foot in that premises already. That's one. And number two, you need to redefine your kind of targeted audience. Talk to me.
No, I hear what you're saying, and on the thorough research part. And this is why I'm saying that, often, because regardless of like you were saying yesterday, that when you start off a business, you can plan, you can do as much planning as possible. But one of the most vital things is obviously to start, because there's also certain things that you learn in the process of actually doing the building up. Because the vantage point that I'm coming from, particularly if we're talking about food stamps, is that the average entrepreneur, so if you're standing, let's say, in Santen City, right?
Yeah.
You're standing in Santen City between, let's say, Michelangelo and the mall itself.
Yeah.
Just up the road, there's a taxi rank, and people can sell food.
Yeah.
Right? But obviously now, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking at that, you say, look, if I'm allowed to stand in one particular corner, without necessarily having certain papers and whatnot, what stops me from actually going down the road into the other corner and then the next? Because normally that's how the entrepreneur will identify the opportunity.
Yeah.
And if we're doing the hypothesis, the first thing we have to do first and foremost is actually be there, sell. By the time they actually maybe stop you, we actually have an understanding of how the market is going in that particular place. The additional problem as well sometimes with researching too much is that obviously it also comes at a cost for the most part. So if I'm starting off, let's say, with 100,000 or 200,000, it's very difficult for me to afford, let's say, legal consultants who are able to sort of look into the city's bylaws and all of that.
Okay.
And also.
Let me pause you there and let me tell you the reality. The truth is, if you follow what we're teaching you with Lean Startup and the Javelin Board, it should not cost you a penny. You don't need anybody to go do those research for you. Okay? You really do not need anybody you don't need to pay a lawyer to find out what businesses are permitted here. Now, you and I already know that at some certain point, so within the taxi rank space, you find businesses hanging out there. So because you are looking for a different market, a different target, your audience, I be it a Porsche and redefined. So you decide, I'm going to pitch my tent in front of the train station. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, do not forget that entire space belongs to another business owner. So what I'm trying to say to you is just ask questions. That's what we've said. Go and ask questions. Hi, sorry, this is what we do. We want to pop up a little store here. Who do we have to talk to? Now, it's just you going out there. Let me tell you the worst that can happen is a yes or a no, or talk to this person, okay? Now, secondly, the other aspect where I'm saying, I know we might be looking for 200,000, 300,000, or $1 million to drive and scale up a business. What I'm saying to you is, have you actually tried putting a bag? Look at those people who will call survivalist entrepreneur. These guys who will wake up in the morning and do some magueyas and some scones and put in a bowl and just hang by the junctions and the robots. Now, of course, nobody's disturbing them. Nobody's going to ever go to stop them. Now, these guys will cash in like 300 and 400 rand on a daily basis. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, you see, because where they are standing, they are not interfering with any other businesses who is paying rent in another place. If you go sell value to Outrain, for example, sometimes you discover that McDonald's will pop up within Outrain station to sell a McCafe, to sell coffee in the morning, okay? Now, if you pop up in such a place to target a different market and tell them, okay, I just want to pop up here and find out what their rate is, okay? And you try it out for a day. Maybe they ask you, oh, it's 5,000 Rand or 2,000 Rand for 1 month, and you're able to raise 5,000 by yourself. And you model it out and try selling for 1 month. And your 5,000 rent, your another extra 5,000 for ingredients and materials that you have used. And at the end of the day, your overall 10,000 Rand capital, let's say 12,000 plus your transport capital, overall it gave you another 12,000, 100% profit. Now that is the model I want you to take and go back to an investor, say, hey, this is what I invested in this business. Just for 1 month, this is what I made. So if I have an opportunity to invest more and stay for a longer period, this is the potential of this business. So it indirectly tells the person that you've gone to do a test, you've tested a model, you have something to prove to that person to say that if you give me 100,000 Rand, in the next couple of months, it can become 200,000 Rand. Why? Because I tested it with 10,000 Rand and it became 20,000 Rand within the space of 30 days because of these numbers of people. And when I was done selling the product I had, there were more people coming to ask me for more, but I didn't have product to sell anymore. So if I have more money injected into this framework, this is what it can produce. Why now? Because you've gone out there, you've done a lean startup with a minimalistic budget. You've also come back now with the results. Based on that result, you have a model. Based on that model, you can approach an investor. That is what I'm trying to say to you. Do you get it now?
No, I get what you're saying.
Awesome. Awesome. So any other question on this lean startup so that we can jump quickly into our next class?
Tonito, Zazie.
Yes. Hi, Zazie. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I liked Mzo's question because it sort of, I was thinking along the lines of wondering if it's possible to create a minimum viable product in South Africa for all types of businesses, because I just somehow, I mean, I'm not against the idea, firstly. I do accept that that's probably the smarter way to work, build lean and keep doing iterations, and I get that. But the question is really around, is our market like mature enough for that? Particularly when Mzo was talking about, you know, you will spend your first money and you encounter all those challenges, and then you actually need more money. But perhaps our market is more reticent or more conservative than it actually likes to believe. So there would be like a hesitancy to invest in a startup, no matter how great the business model is, because the money is not patient enough. And I'm saying this just comparing it to what we've seen with a lot of these Silicon Valley companies that were in the examples yesterday. I mean, it's a given and it's acceptable. It's accepted in America. They have Silicon Valley. They understand. Like you even mentioned in one of the examples, that there's a lot of angel funders or VCs that are ready to back up startups. I mean, look at Thanos from a very early part of the existence versus what we find here. I mean, it's a real struggle, and I think we need to appreciate that our market is completely different in that sense.
Absolutely, Zazie. The reality is, you just nailed it at this at the end when you said we need to really accept that our market is different, and it is based on that notion that we encourage you to start using a lean model to kickstart. You get what I'm saying? I'll give you a practical example. In 2012, I got an idea to build an African-based social network platform with my own kind of concept. And of course, the reality is whatever we had was going to be competing with the likes of Facebook and Twitter. Of course, we got few investors to come in, but these investors do not understand long-term. The same problem that we're talking about, the African type of investors. So somebody gave us a portion of his own equity, and in 6 months was asking us for dividends. And I'm like, excuse me, we are not even done with development yet. You get the point. Now, that person alone and his action almost crumbled the entire business model and framework. Now, but this is the difference. So if I say to you, can you start up your business with 5,000? What can 5,000 or 10,000 do for that business that you have? Unlike in Silicon Valley, where if you have an idea, you're able to put together a wireframe, somebody's ready to put $100 million on it right away. Why? Because they see the future faster than we want to see the future. Now, it's not that we do not want to see the future in Africa. It's just that the African business investor is not a patient side. Who wants to put $100 million or even R1 million in your business and wait for 5 years for dividends? Now, they will give you every African market story to tell you that if they put that money in stock market, this is what it can generate for them every month. If they put it in fixed deposit, this is what it can bring for them. So because we are not long-term driven, and a lot of times we are cutting short of our opportunity to grow and prosper as a continent with this short-time vision that we all carry. And now look, this is what happens. So if a business, someone with a great business idea comes up within the African market space, and he has invested 100,000 and things didn't work as he planned them to work, which is normal for every business, okay? Now the tendency of that person coming back to business, the chances are very much slimmer as compared to that if that person tried out with 10,000 Rand and saw a few mistakes. You know, you have this confidence that, oh, I can try out with another 20,000 Rand. You know why? Because at that level, there's still money you can play in and around with. It's a different ballgame when the capital is huge. Now, you get the point. So what we are trying to say is, in as much as I understand what Zoe is saying, I'm saying to you, at your startup level, at the very startup level, the very early stage of your startup, we do not encourage you to get in any investor where you start diluting the stake of the business. We expect you to figure out what your personal saved finances, your friends and family support can do. And the only way you can get that to do, if I have a product that I want to sell, I want the entire South Africa to buy. Now I live here in Bromhof. What I need to do is, how do I make Randburg or Bromhof, my suburb, buy into it first? Now, it is easier for me to walk and knock almost on every door in Bromhof all by myself. Are you getting what I'm saying? As expecting me to have 300 staff members who are going to be going around the suburbs in Gauteng alone, where I now have to cover for their transport, for their overheads. Now, so if I've made a success story of one case study based on what I have tried out by myself, it is much more easier for me to come back to you, Zazie, and say, hi, Zazie, I know you've been saying you want to invest in a business. This is a business that I have. It's not just an idea anymore. Remember now, I have taken that idea, I have turned it into an experiment, I've tested the market, and I have data. I have a customer who have tried it out, and this is how it works. So there is a result. So based on this result, this is what I think this business can produce. The next stage will now be us plugging assumptions. So if 10 Rand give us 25 Rand return, okay, based on XYZ processes applied, it simply implies that if we try putting 100 Rand, the likelihood of us getting 400 or 500 Rand of returns is there. We go out and try with 400 Rand. If we get the same similar kind of result, it is possible that if we plug in a 10,000 Rand, this is what we can get out of it. Are you getting it? So by the time you see it with an investor, now listen, African investors don't invest in two stages. They don't invest in your idea stage, and they rarely would invest in your development stage. But if you follow this model that we are sharing with you right now, it is easier for you to convince an investor because you do not just have an idea, you have an idea, you have a product or a platform, you have customers, all right, and you have revenue. It may have not been profiting, but there is revenue. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you that essentially you are bootstrapping and you're getting yourself to a place all by yourself that would, I suppose, stand up against like any kind of interrogation to say, well, what have you done? What is the validity of your idea? So I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so that was us wrapping up the Lean Startup model and using the Javelin experimentation board. Please, so based on what I explained some few minutes ago, I did say that you all will do me a favor and do us all a favor because we need to capture that data. I'm sure Infanello must have sent out to you the what's it called? The digital format of the Javelin board. Normally, we were supposed to give you these canvases in a class and we work on it together. So try and put up a call and have a conversation with some of your clients, okay? And follow the process that board explains. And at the end of this class, or maybe in our next class, we will now touch on what you must have done. At least you must give me a feedback of of the conversation that you had with that client and what you thought was the problem and what the client finally told you the problem was and how you decided to tackle this problem and what you arrived at and what that information that you've received from the client is not inspiring you to do or motivating you to do for the business. Okay, so welcome to today's class. Today we will be touching on what we call business model canvas. Now remember, I did say something. The data you gathered and the thoughts and every information you gathered while you were busy trying to run an hypothesis using the experimentation board is what's going to drive us into creating a model. And today we will be discussing the business model canvas. And the business model canvas is, of course, is a product of So talk to me. Who's that?
This is Reggie. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, but I can hear what you're saying. It just keeps. I don't know if it's my network or is it yours or I don't know.
Okay. Somebody tell me. Can any other person hear me?
The same thing, because maybe it's me. Maybe I must just reboot or something like that.
All right. Is it me?
Can I just also say something? Yes, I can't hear you very well, but I just wanted to ask. Should we be expecting to receive the Javelin canvas, or are you saying that we need to find one and build and then complete the exercise on our own?
Okay, so Infanello is going to be sending you one, which is a soft copy, I believe. Infanello, can you please affirm my statement?
I can hear you perfectly.
All right, thank you.
I'm Tonito.
Yes, sir.
We do have one. It's in PDF. So the best thing for them to do is to write up a report of the conversation they had with the client.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I would try today and find out if I can get a PowerPoint version or a Word version of the Javelin experimentation board so that they perhaps can write into it one. But for now, since there's a PDF version, Infanello can be shared with us, okay? And based on that, we can all take note on each of the segments or the columns, then put our response sheet on the paper. Is that okay? Is that okay?
I believe you are talking something.
Okay. Okay. Let me go back to the house. I remember I did ask all of us some. When was that? Guys, I see your mics are all muted. Can you unmute your mic? Don't worry. It's a class. Unmute your mic. I need your mics all unmuted, please, so that when I need an affirmation or a response, I get it. Unmute your mic. Thank you. Thank you. Good. So I remember it was Reggie who said he wasn't hearing me too well. Can you hear me better now? Is he okay? All right. Thank you.
It's still the same. I think maybe it's my network. I'll probably just leave and come back to rejoin again.
All right. Well,
it might be yours because it's perfect on my end.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. So let's just jump into today's class. We'll be discussing the business model canvas, and the agenda of this class is that at the end of this class, we will be setting the context about business model and the case in point, which is key. Then we will discuss what really is a business model. we'll be introducing the business model canvas that we call BMC, and we are going to be looking into the 9 building blocks of the business model. And of course, we will be exploring some examples, which is the Tabos hot chocolate stand. And we will also talk about Skype, which is another model. And beyond the business model canvas, then questions and answer. Like I did say, please unmute your mic. Feel free to talk to me. Do not hesitate to ask questions when required. So this is our case in point. This case in point talks about the business. In 1958, a photocopy machine was invented. Now it made 2,000 copies a day at a time when other made 15 to 30 copies a day. Now the challenge was it was expensive. Nobody would buy the machine. Now in 1997, a case of Google. Now they had a different problem. Their product was free. Now, how do you make money from free? But they had to figure out how to make money from what's contextualized advertising. Now, by selling and auctioning them off as search terms, they organized the world information for free. Are you there?
Sorry, are you sharing a presentation? Because I keep thinking that you're going to put something up and there's nothing on your screen.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I can't see anything.
I can see it.
I can also see.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
I don't know what do I need to do to see what you're sharing.
Okay, let me stop it again and perhaps share again. So if you all can see, let me know if you can see. Can you see my presentations?
Yes.
Zazie?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see.
No, I can't see anything.
What are you using? A laptop or a phone?
A laptop.
Okay, how do I help you now? Because I think it's just a plug and play if you're viewing the screen.
Okay. I don't know. That's fine. Look, I don't mean to interrupt everyone.
No.
Carry on.
But you need
I'll
to
just
see. You need to see. You can't go through this class without seeing. It's important. Perhaps, what do I say to you now? It's a different ballgame if I'm the one struggling to see. So tell me, what do you see on your screen?
Just you know that circle with your initials?
Yeah.
The green circle with your initials. That's all I see.
For everybody, right? Or you just see? Are you just seeing mine?
Yeah.
Can everybody see?
Yes, I can also see it.
Okay. What do we do here now?
Should I send the presentation to Zazie?
Okay, please do. Yes, please do. Please do. Please do. That's strange. I'm going to research on that. We keep finding something new on this Microsoft Teams every now and then. Okay, so now I just read a case point of 2 different businesses. The first case point was a company who had a photocopy machine that was designed in 1958, which was printing about 2,000 copies a day, while others in his same competition could only print within 15 to 30 copies a day. But the problem was that this machine was too expensive to acquire, so nobody wanted to buy. Now, in 1997, another case, Google, they had a different problem. Now, Google created a product which was a search engine and which was going to be free. But the big question was, how do you make money from a free product or a free platform? Then Google redefined the model, which was they figured out how they can make money from contextualizing their framework of advertisement. And by selling and auctioning them off as a search terms, they organized the word information for free. All right. Today, you discover that you can go and do Google AdWords adverts. You can do AdSense and keywords. Now, 3 important points from these 2 cases. Now, product innovation alone was not sufficient. Okay. So they empowered the innovation through new business model. The combination of technology and product innovation coupled with the redesign of their business model. Now, copying from others was not the way forward. They invented a new business model. They couldn't prove it. They couldn't prove in advance that the model would work. They had to take risk and experiment to figure out if the model would work. That brings us back to a few of the things we spoke about. It is one thing. Remember when we were discussing the MTPs for the exponential organization formula, you remember that on the right brain, it spoke about creativity, growth, and what? Uncertainty. Did you remember that diagram yesterday? Now, what that tells us is sometimes, even if you have a business idea and you figure out a business model, you still need to go try it out. The likelihood that it's going to work is sitting on the probability of 1-to-1 is 1/2. It may work, it may not work. And if it doesn't work, because you're running a model, you can always go back and reinvent your model. Now, the important point from this case spoke about what I loved about in point 2. He said copying from others was not the way. You cannot just look at KFC and say, oh, KFC is frying chicken, and because of the fried chicken, and people buy chicken, so the secret is in chicken. You need to go find out what model drives the chicken. Now, if you understand the model that drives the chicken, then you can understand how KFC makes money from frying chicken. Are you there? So now when we spoke about the concept of uncertainty, do I have a question?
Yeah. Please could you go back to the previous slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, okay, thank you. I'm looking at these 3 important points, and I think, as small businesses, and this is something that I've went through, is that to go through step 2 and step 3 is pretty costly, it's pretty pricey. In the previous business that I ran, just to invent a new business model, to actually combine innovation through a new business model took about 2 years, and for that to happen, I actually had to have a mainstream business bringing in cash just to invest in this, and then 3 years later, then you only get it right. You look at it, you're sitting at 3-4 million rand that you spend to get it right. So I think it's all good in my view if you look at this, but I think we also have to appreciate, and I would like to know what your thoughts are, but I think there has to be an appreciation of the time and the amount of money that it takes to get to this now.
All right, absolutely. TK, that's Tabo. It's important that I want all of us to understand that 2 things are key. I can almost categorically tell you that, or emphatically tell you that you may not spend a penny to design a business model. You may not need to spend a penny to design a business model. 1, you may not also need to spend a dime to innovate. And I'll tell you why I stand from this standpoint. Number 1 is, when we talk about innovation, a lot of time people think it's about just change. It's about thinking differently. That's what innovation is. See innovation from that point first. It has to happen from the thought perspective. It has to be about, is a question of perspective. Think differently, see the market differently, the way others see it. then act differently. So now in the place of action, where a lot of times small businesses and startups and new entrants into the entrepreneurial space, we plunge in money when we want to bring about a change. So we think money and buying technologies and buying softwares and buying hiring are how we implement this new model and innovation. No. Now, when it comes to model, if you took any points from what I was trying to explain to us using the Lean Startup Framework, I was trying to say to us that you and I can actually try out an experiment, spending the very minimal amount in doing so. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, I know sometimes it makes us sound weak when we go to sit down with our competitors and ask questions, and they don't even have to know that you are competing in the same business space. Just go in there and ask questions. Sorry, so how do you guys do this? Pretend to be a supplier or a buyer and ask questions and get data and get information. Are you getting what I'm saying? So I understand where you're coming from, saying you spent about 3-4 million. Let me make you laugh. In 2012 and 2013, between 2012, 2014, and 2014, I plunged in $48,000 in trying to build a social network platform that today I didn't spend a cent. Why? Because I now have the skill sets to build it myself. Are you getting what I'm saying? So,
yes and no.
Tell me.
The reason for that is it doesn't cost you money, and I fully agree with you that it doesn't cost you money to think differently. But it normally costs you money to change other people's thinking. Remember, when you innovate, you're not innovating for yourself, you're innovating for the client. And with me being being a firm believer in innovation and IP and different business models, is that it's a different business model. It's one thing to have one that will work on paper, but it's another thing to convince people that they've got to use it. And I'll give you a simple example.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Mr. D Food. They've only picked up sales big time now because people didn't have a choice. Yeah. So otherwise, if that didn't happen, they would have taken much longer to realize what they have realized in the COVID-19 time.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is it takes much more effort to convince the end user of a new or a different business model. And what we found works is by prototyping. So we always prototype the innovation combined with the business model, and only then the market starts opening up. But that's the process that I'm saying, it takes time and money. You could have a platform. There's so many boys that I know that make apps. And those apps are not picking up. Why? Because they are innovative, but also to launch them and change the way people think costs you money. And that's the part of costing money that I am referring to.
All right. I get you, Tabo. Coming back to the last statement you've made now, you've thrown in two variables. Variable number one was clients, okay? And variable number two is time. Now, if you look at the variable, so if I'm going to innovate for a client and a client really wants a change, the client will be paying for those processes. That's the reality, except you're running a different type of model that says you want to be the one convincing the client to buy into a model. Remember when I was teaching yesterday, there was a slide that I said this number one startup mistake, building what people do not want. You don't innovate with a concept that people do not want. Don't throw time, skill, effort, and resources into a thinking that people are not willing to pay for. So if you follow the Lean Startup Framework that I'm teaching you now, if I have a different thinking for a market, an already existing market, remember when we're saying innovation, it simply means that there is already a process in play, but I'm only trying to tweak that process to make it better, cheaper, faster, and that's disruption. So if you would innovate with a client in focus, it is expected that I take this thing and have a conversation with this client. That's what I'm trying to say before you pour in money. So if you say people have built apps, I am in that space too. So I have apps currently in the market. And people have been saying to me, oh, how's it going? I said, no, I've not started. I've not even, my plan, my kickoff time is 1st of July. So what are you doing now? I am talking to my customers. I am having a conversation with my customers. So I have built something and I'm busy explaining how it will benefit them if they align with me before I decide to spend 1 cent on marketing. So this is what happens. You build a platform. You do not have a customer base that you are already going to use to experiment. You do not have a customer base you're talking to. You just want to advertise and tell everybody to the world. Now, if Uber Eats did not come into the plane, Mr. D may have not made money. You and I used to know Mr. D as a magazine where we have a booklet in our house and we stock them by the fridge, right? But technology became the place to fall into, and they're falling into it, and people are beginning to adapt. And now that's where the second variable that you threw in, time. Listen, I think it was Zazie that was trying to tell us that the way businesses are seen in advanced country, in America where Silicon Valley plays, and here in Africa is different. If you're going to enter into the space of entrepreneurship, you need minimum 5 years. If you're lucky, 3 years to take a leap. Your first 3 years, you're busy modeling and experimenting. Even though if you're making money, that is a plus for you. You can be making revenue, but not be profiting. So there could be income, but there's no profit. And you need minimum, as far as I'm concerned, you need 5 years to be able to breathe, to have your head above the waters, if you're going to be an entrepreneur to play in the African market space. So time and client base is key. And that's why I enjoy your variables. What I'm trying to say to you is the same way you've gone through that part to spend over 4 million trying to innovate. Excuse me, some of us have also gone through that space, wasting money trying to innovate for an industry that we did not have a clear understanding of what they really wanted. Okay? And I'm saying to you is if you adopt the lean model startup and this class we're touching right now, business model, it will help you to stop losing money and start to understand that you only spend money to solve the problem clients want you to solve for them. If it is a problem a client wants me to solve for them, the client has got to pay me to solve that problem. Are you getting it? I do not have to convince you. Are you with me, TK?
I understand.
Can I just share an alternative view?
Yes, go ahead, Zazie.
Maybe not vastly different, but there's two things. The first one is my understanding with apps is if it's not something that people access or need to use more than 3 times a day, then it is harder to convince them to buy an app and actually, because then it just becomes something that takes up space on their phone. The second thing, and this is like a broader comment around infrastructure. I think our issue is the infrastructure. When you look at a Facebook, for example, I feel that Mark Zuckerberg was good in the sense that he first made Facebook free. He created an infrastructure for people to connect, and the revenue or the profits, whichever one you're using as a yardstick, those things came a lot later for him. But now there's a certain other support system that was there to enable him to do that. Very few of us have the fortune of starting businesses and not worrying about finance.
Exactly.
The truth is, we worry about money because we start our businesses when we're older. It's a privilege to be able to be an entrepreneur. So you need to have worked before, have some kind of access to money to be able to do that. Because again, we don't have a market that will just throw money at you to ideate. you know, so that is the truth of it. And so when you create things, we create things on demand. You're not going to sit and just create things for the fun of it, because firstly, you don't have the time to do it. You need to be taking payments. You need to be doing things that are seen to be valuable, because we measure value by immediate returns. We are not yet to give things like the infrastructures of your Ubers and all of those guys.
Good one, Zazie. Good one, Zazie. And TK.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, are we now on the same page in our thoughts, or are we aligning a bit?
We are certainly on the same page, and I must just add that the overall point I just wanted to bring to the fore was that it's one thing to have a different business model, but it's another thing to innovate and combine it with a different business model. And I just wanted to
establish that,
bring it to the table that I think it is taxing to do both. And I can tell you that although we had spent 4 million rand, we were still comfortable that the returns will be good. I can tell you that process is now working at 2 of our clients, and it brings in $1.5 million a month, you know, in revenue and with a much lower operating cost. Exactly. So the whole point that I wanted to bring to the table was it takes time.
I like that.
That's in what I have seen, and we'll probably still have more points that we will learn from, which I'm looking forward to. But that was just a little bit of what I had seen.
Awesome. I like the fact that we both all agree that it takes time. We play in a very different business environment as well, and you must find what works within your own market spectrum or landscape and take advantage of it. Our variables are really different, but what is key is that's the reason why when we were developing this content, we had to look at it from the African business landscape. And so, within other business landscape, we may have not been telling you lean startup. Why? Because we know there is fund from government. I mean, if you're in the UK today, the UK is a technology pause that the government is willing to pour out is sitting on £171 billion, and they're looking for tech companies. Today in the UK, they don't have really big tech companies. The big tech companies of the world are from the United States. You talk about Google, you talk about Facebook. And for the UK, they are worried that the entire data of the people from the United Kingdom is sitting in the US. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so they are looking for people like you and I to come up with great ideas who are citizens of the United Kingdom, or who will come and become citizens so that they can give you part of that £151 billion to invest and have something that they can be proud of. Now, don't forget, time, environment is what defines the economy of scale of every business. And these variables will shape in how you innovate and how you build your model, okay? All right, so thank you guys. Remember we spoke about uncertainty and why do you need a business model? I'm sure some of us must have had this word, the VUCA. VUCA, when we talk about how the business space and money market and everything is volatile, okay? The volatility of the money market and the business frame or environment is high. It was just coronavirus that has made the entire world in what it is today. Just a virus. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, we say just a virus, but I'm sure when some of us were in churches at the crossover service, for those of us who went to church and the pastor was preaching, this year 2020 is going to be this, is going to be that. The pastor didn't see coronavirus. The prophet didn't see coronavirus. We all thought that the year was going to be an amazing year. We spoke about the significance and the importance of the decade, that it wasn't just a new year, but it was the beginning of a new decade and all of that, blah, 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 blah. And suddenly, there was coronavirus. Suddenly, from coronavirus threat, there was a lockdown. Lockdown brought what? A meltdown of the economy. Now, that is telling you how the economy of anything is volatile. Now, that volatility created uncertainty. Right now, you and I do not even know if there is a cure for this disease. Yes, the government have said we're in lockdown level 3, and everybody's out there on the street. Not everybody can even ascertain if they're making money or if they will make money. Not every businesses can tell now that they're going to have a bounce back. Fortunately, for some businesses, we may find a new way to make money, but for all the businesses, whatever worked for you before the lockdown, the business model, the value proposition that you sold to your clients before the lockdown is perhaps irrelevant, non-functional, no more needed anymore. So you need to go back to the drawing board to redefine and redesign a value that you can propose to this customer that will be relevant going forward. So, and the complexity of the market right now is that right now people don't even know how to unpack and how to make money. You get what I'm saying? I had somebody saying to me that, yes, this is lockdown level 3, but there's still no business. And I'm a Taxify driver. I'm an Uber driver. People are not ordering. People are not going out. Are you saying it? So you see how the market is right now. So, and of course, many times it leaves us in a very high state of ambiguity. Why do I say that? That the resulting feelings is that many times you discover that we are just hoping and trusting that things will get better. Do you understand? There's hope. And based on that hope, we step out, we invest our time in learning, in trying to do things the new way. I mean, if I hear some of you speak like Tabo, if you're already reckoning an income of 1.5 million per month or close to $500,000, part of the question somebody might ask you, so what are you doing in Black Umbrellas? You get what I'm saying? Well, because you need to redefine your model and your process to get into a bigger space where you can play in a more higher realm with more bigger players. You need to find a way to reposition yourself. Okay, so that's what this is about. So I remember we did this exercise. Why do businesses? Is there a question for me? Okay, so let me go ahead. So why do businesses fail? Remember, we touched on this in our last slides. And one of the things that we, of course, speak about was the number one reason is 42% of the reasons why business fail is that no market needs. So you've gone out there, you've developed something that nobody needs, you've built an app that nobody needs, or you've built a product that nobody needs, or you've designed something nobody wants, and that becomes a problem. And how many small businesses and startups fail and when? And based on this stats, it speaks about 20% fail within the first 1 year, 34% of them within the second year, 50% within the first 5 years, and 70% within 10 years. So you would have imagined a business that had made it for 10 years, survived for 10 years. Why would they fail within their 10th year? It comes down to that point. The competition is fierce, the market is volatile, it is uncertain, it is complex, and because of this complexity, what you discover many times is that you find out that if you're not innovating and tweaking your model, you may not be able to play within the market space. Yesterday, I did say to us that technology is an enabler. It is not the solution. It just enables your solution. So if you find any idea and you can use technology to drive it, I mean, look at what Microsoft Teams and Zoom have done for us right now. They've made collaboration and easier for us to still stay and do what we would have done, having to come together in a boardroom or in a classroom to do. At the comfort of our home or our quiet places, we can still do the same thing, interact and learn, collaborate and learn, collaborate, create, craft new designs and solutions and sell. Now, but our focus today sits on what is 17% of one of the reasons why a lot of businesses fail, and it is the fact that product without a business model. All right, so it is one thing to have a good product, but you don't have a model on how you're going to push or market this product. And that is what we will be discussing clearly today. We spoke about the 2019 changes, where I spoke about how different sectors and industries will be shaping cultures and industries. And this slide, I think we're still going to share all of it with you. So what exactly is a business model? From definition, a business model describes the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. I need you to underline those letters in red. Creates, delivers, and captures value. So it is one thing to create value, but it's another thing to be able to deliver this value. And at the end of the day, it is also another thing to capture the return of this value. And when we talk about returns of this value, so I created value and I deliver value to a market. But what is the return of value? The return has to be that my customer base is growing, my client base is growing, my business or model or product service acceptability is growing, and of course, revenue is growing as well as profits. Bottom line as well, it's growing. Okay, so a business model is what describes the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. And so let's look at business model in a pictorial illustration. So you create. When you're done creating, you have a product or service that has been created. And you're able to deliver it within a storefront, okay? And of course, for you to deliver it, that means there's a customer that accesses it, they pay you, you make revenue, and you see the value chain, okay? Now, what is a business model canvas? Remember we spoke about business model, and we said we're going to be touching more on the canvas. Now, so this canvas is a toolkit that is used to create, to visualize, and analyze, and as well invent business models more systematically. So it is a toolkit that we use to create, to visualize, to analyze, and invent business models more systematically. Now, the word I needed to underline under this definition is invent business model. It was Tabo who spoke about innovate and creating a business model. So meaning, and that point that he was trying to draw our attention to when he spoke about that you cannot just copy a model, rather you need to invent or create what works for you based on the experiment and your research that you've been able to gather from interacting with your own customers. So this tool actually helps us invent a business model more systematically. Okay, now we're going to be discussing the 9 building blocks of a business model canvas. So this is what a business model canvas looks like. These are the 9 building blocks of a business model canvas. So block 1 talks about KP, which we call key partnerships. The other block speaks about KA, which is key activities, and we have key resources, we have value proposition, we have customer relationship, we have customer segments, we have channels, and of course, the other part speaks about cost structure and revenue structure. And under this part, what we have mostly is these blocks are the things that are going to help us explain how we invent our own business model canvas and create what works for us for our own businesses. Are we together? All right, so let's look at the BMC at a glance. So when I say BMC, I am just talking about a business model canvas at a glance. What are key partnership? Now, your key partnership talks about, this is the building blocks that describes the network of suppliers and partners that makes the business model works. Now, I think it was it Reggie or Umzo who was talking about wanting to sell within a business park. Now, if you're going to sell within a business park, you need to have your core key partners, the owners of the business park. You cannot just walk up within a business park with your food van and start selling. It is advised that you go have a conversation to say to them, this is what we do, and we would love to add value to this business park, that more people can come within this space and, you know, help people work within this business park to access food, this type of food that we sell, and blah, blah, blah. You go pitch to the owners of the business park what you're about to do. And so if you're going to be using a business park to do business. Whether to give it out for free or give it out at a rate, it is important for you to know clearly that your key partners are the owners of the business park. So these are your key suppliers and partners that make the business model work. Because without that space, it might be difficult for you to operate. And of course, you need to understand what the key activities are of your businesses. So all of this have been broken down within your slide. You can read through all of this, okay? Now, so let's take a quick case study. We will take a quick case study on Tabo's hot chocolate stand. So Tabo is one of us, and Tabo has a fresh and delicious hot chocolate business that he runs, and he has a stand. But right now, Tabo needs to position this business in a business park where he can sell. So quick thing, let's start to fill in and build the business model and invent a business model for Tabo's business. So number one is key customer segments, okay? Now, who are these key customer segment and what does Tabo's key customer segment represent? It speaks about the fact that this type of segments addresses the mass market versus the niche market, okay? A single segment versus multiple segments, and of course the multiple-sided platform serving several interdependent customer segments. So if you break down this customer segment, you're gonna need a distinct products, utilize different channels, because require special relationships, have different profitability, and of course pay for unique aspects. So what are we trying to imply here? We're trying to say that for Tabo, we've been able to break down his key customer segment. If he's going to sell within an office business park, it is key that this sticky note here addresses his key customer segment to be the business park workers and visitors. All right. Now, like I did say to Mzo at the beginning, that if you're going to sell within an outrain station or somewhere in Santon, I'm sure you're targeting the foot traffic, people who are going to be passing around that place. And you're going to look at, okay, at least a particular percentage of the foot traffic here would stop by to buy from me. All right. So for Tabo, his key customer segment addresses the business park workers and visitors. And what is the value proposition? What exactly is Tabo selling? Tabo's value proposition is that he has a rustic hot chocolate. Tabo's hot chocolate, perfect to make your day. So that is his value proposition. You take my hot chocolate, you have a perfect day. Why? Maybe because my hot chocolate has some levels of sugar that can brighten up your day. Whatever ingredients that Tabo is putting into this that he believes can rock and make a man's day so amazing. Now, this value proposition describes the bundle of products and services that creates value for a specific customer segment. So if you look at it now, the big question is why do you need to articulate a value proposition? Now, because if you're going to go out there to pitch and sell to a customer, you don't go reading the business vision and mission. You go there to pitch value. The value proposition is what you say in what we call elevator speech. So somebody finds you, or you find someone you've been looking for, a potential venture capitalist in an elevator. Somebody you find and you walk past within a mall, and you get the chance to pitch to. Who do I use as an example? Let's say you wake up and the next thing, somebody standing right in front of you is Patrice Musete. Well, give me another name. Just give me a name. And you find one of those persons. You know, the first thing that is required of you to do is you have to understand that what you have to do at this stage is ensure that you have an articulated statement that defines who you are, what your business is about, who you're selling to, and the value you offer the market, and why you think those people should invest in your business. So, reason why customers buy from one company over another is value proposition. And of course, a value proposition will help solve a customer's problem or satisfy a set of needs. The reason why you would buy a Mercedes-Benz as against an Audi or a Toyota is value. Are they both cars? Yes. Have they got 4 wheels? Yes. Have they got virtually everything you can think about that every other car has? Yes. They got steering, they got seats, they got radio, they got whatever you might consider them to be. But what is important is the fact that the value that Toyota offers and the value that, the Mercedes-Benz offers are different. So the customer segments and the value they offer are completely different. So value proposition is one other block that we must consider. Now the other one is channels. Remember we spoke about how possible it is to have a business. So you've created value, but you need to deliver this value, all right? You need to deliver this value. So your channels are how you deliver values. Number one is, so for Tabo, it's going to be using the business park stand. So it's going to have a stand, meaning if you walk by, you're going to find a stand where you find Tabo and a team selling hot chocolates. Of course, he's also decided to create a website. If you ask me why create a website for hot chocolate business, maybe just to create another form of value for the business, so that when people can go and perhaps maybe place order online or whatever it is, we do not know. And of course, word of mouth. Now, this is Tabo's model of trying to reach out to his customers. So he's going to be using word of mouth, he's going to be using his website, and definitely he has a stand out there. Now, when we speak about channel within the concept of within the concept of the business model. Now, the channel describes how a company communicates with and reaches its customers to deliver a value proposition. Now, customer interfaces, communication, distribution, and of course, and sales. And the customer touch points are important in enhancing their experiences. So when you use your channels, what do you use your channels for? So like I did say, so for Tabo here, I believe the website is to create product awareness, okay? And allow customers to, of course, to purchase option. They can purchase directly, and of course provide post-purchase support, meaning, oh, I bought this hot chocolate. What I wanted was not the blend that you give to me. You create an avenue for customers to position either reports or raise it support. I mean, maybe reports poor service delivery or an assistance that they need. And through the support framework, you can use the website, and perhaps that's what Tabo is doing, or you can ask them to call in. And of course, because it is within the office park, people can actually walk down from whatever floor they are and have a conversation. Okay, so that is channel. Now, customer relationships. So for Tabo and this office park, his customer relationship is going to be personal, meaning he's going to take his time, rock up to these customers and have a conversation with them personally. Now, what does customer relationship describe for us within the building blocks of the business model canvas? This talks about the types of relationship a company establishes within specific customer segments. Now, must clarify, of course, the desired relationship with each customer segment. Now look at it. So for you to first of all view customer relationship, you need to acquire this customer. So what is the framework of acquisition? What is the framework of retention? And how do you boost sale and upselling for these customers? Now, how do businesses acquire new customers? Let's take Uber or Taxify or any of this meter taxi app-driven platform, for example. I'm sure the very first time you came on Taxify, they told you that if you can refer 3 friends, you get free 75 Rand or 300 Rand ride free. Okay, now that is a model to acquire customers. That is an acquisition framework that they have designed. So they're going to use freemium promos, coupons, and everything to get people in. Now, how do you retain customers? So many times you wake up, you launch your Taxify or Uber app, and you find, oh, there is a 10% discount on your next ride. There's a 15% discount or 20% discount on your next ride. And what does that tell you? That, oh, so if I was going to pay 100 Rand to Santon, I'm going to be paying 70 Rand or 80 Rand. Are you getting it? So now those offers, those freebies, those promotional framework are what keeps customers within the time frame, okay? So what is the next thing that we must talk about? The relationship categories that you must build for your businesses is, number one, you need to look at relationships that are personal, okay? So you need to look at personal assistance services, automated services, communities, and co-creation. Now, if you're going to be building customer relationship, it is important for you to know that when you run around and mingle and interact with these customers, you need to build them into a place where they find you as a support pillar to achieve their next goal. Now, remember, I'm using Tabo's hot chocolate as an example, as a case study. Now, within your different business, for those of you who do consulting, you need to understand that the people who call you to serve them as a consultant need to see you as a personal assistant. They need to see you as a pillar they can hold to journey through any business challenges that they are facing. For those of us who are in recruitment, the people who need you to solve their problem need to see you as a personal assistant who's going to help them bring the right candidate to fill in a particular gap that is needed within the business, right? And you would also be able to help them create self-service models, things that they can do by themselves. Okay, you need to also have the opportunity to create an automated services. Now, if you walk into, what is it called today? McDonald's, you discover that within the McDonald's framework now, you walk in and there's this big machine where you can actually stand, place your order, put in your card, and make payments, and you get your order number and you wait and collect. Now, those are self-services, they're automated, and things are beginning to, get along. And so it's easier to make customer relationship between the business, and by doing so, you're creating an amazing touch point between yourself, the customers, and the business or the products that you offer. Are we together? Based on this time, I think we've been on set now for like an hour and 53 minutes, 45 seconds. So I'm going to give us 5 minutes. If we were having a live class, we should have gone for a break, okay? So I will give us 3 minutes right now to just perhaps take a bathroom break, make some tea or coffee for yourself, stretch your legs. I need to stretch mine too. And we come back at exactly 11:50, okay? 3 minutes. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, so we're gonna go on a 3 minutes break and we'll be back. So we'll just continue the class from there. 3 minutes. Thank you, guys.
What I caught up now, so I'm completely lost when it comes to that slide, but I think I'll catch up with you virtually after the session, okay, so that you can catch up.
All right. Not a problem. Like I did say, I had to use another application to record, so I'll share the audio and even a video. So let me tell you the trick I played. So I switched on Zoom as well, okay? So I was using Zoom to capture and record as well. So I will be able to get those files and we can at least have something to play along with. Is that okay?
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So, like I did say, this is what I expect to have from you. So other examples, let's talk on Skype. Let's touch on Skype. What is Skype's business model? Canvas, what does it look like? So for Skype, the key partners are what? Payment providers. Remember that you need to make payments, okay? On Skype, you need to perhaps buy credit and other stuffs. So their key partnership lies in payment providers, distribution partners, and telco partners. Okay. I'm sure we all know Skype, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't know Skype, we need to take you out of South Africa and go and throw you in one village in Japan, which is the most remote village in Africa. So now remember, so their key partnership, their payment providers, the distribution partners, and their telco partners. Number one, on the Skype, their key activities is they do software development. That's the job of the people who work for Skype. And do you know who owns Skype now?
Microsoft.
Thank you. So what they do is sit down and develop and upgrade a software for collaboration. That's all they do. Now, what are their key resources? Software developers and who? Softwares. Those are their key resources. They need developers and of course they buy softwares. What is their value proposition? Free internet and video calling, cheap calls to phones, Skype, which is called Skype out, okay? That is the key thing. Free internet calls, free internet and video calling. That is the value proposition of Skype. If you use Skype, you call them free internet VoIP calls for free. And of course, they also provide you cheap calls to phones. That is where the telco partnership comes to play. Now, because the telco partners wouldn't have allowed you to be able to call a Cell C line from Skype where the cost of the call is cheaper than what a Cell C would have charged in getting a call, an outbound call or an inbound call from other service providers. Are you getting it? And what is the relationship? Mass customers. That's what they are looking for, mass customers. What is the customer segment? Web users globally, people who want to call phones, okay? And if you look at the channels, Skype.com, headset, and headset partnership. The websites, Skype.com, with that, they also have their app where you can, that some of them actually come with some softwares now, and some operating system, I beg your pardon, and you can download from different app stores as well, or Google Play Store into your devices. And what is their cost structure? Software development is the biggest thing that takes away their money, and compliance management. They don't want to wake up one morning and be sued by a telco company of another country. So they pay a lot of money to ensure that they are compliant with other service providers and who are their key partners. And of course, where do they make money from? Talk to me.
That's complaint management. So I wonder, how many complaints are they getting? It's not compliance.
Oh, sorry. That's true. Complaints management. Yes. Okay. I think I need to go and dig in research on this and see if they're getting complaints. But they might as well. You never can tell. You discover that one of the big telco companies put money out there for is lawsuits. You get what I'm saying? Uber, and even any of the big brands in top 5 in South Africa will have a lot of budgets for any lawsuits. They don't know where it might come from.
So that's that cost of doing business. They already know that. I mean, I'm not trying to be facetious, but I'm just thinking that to some extent, I mean, should we read into this and start thinking that maybe they know something about the quality of their product, that they put complaints management as part of their cost structure.
Exactly.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah, so I like the aspect you pointed at. It could be for quality management, quality control. It could also be permission. It could just be abuse of data use. For example, so when I sign up on Skype, don't forget I've submitted my email and stuffs and data. And if I discover that the only place I submitted this particular data was on Skype, and now I get another company pop me an email marketing, and I'm able to trace that, no, it was Skype that I only submitted this, I could also raise a complaint. You get what I'm saying? So,
and that they're always down, like always.
You see,
I think,
yes. Sabo.
I think it makes sense to have complaint management. I mean, look at this Microsoft Teams now. I think I've got more complaints than compliments. So the reason why I would think it would be a cost, part of the cost, is that to rectify that complaint, normally it would cost them money. For example, if there was a bug in the system, then there would have to be a resource allocated to, one, to research why is there a bug, but two, to fix that bug so that the complaint is now fixed. And then there would have to be updates and stuff like that. So
exactly.
I think, it also goes hand in hand with co-creation, because as you get complaints on your system,
exactly,
better you can make your system, so
exactly.
I do think,
exactly.
It makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Do you know that what Microsoft Teams has become today, and what's it called? Let's come on, Zoom. Skype would have been the biggest collaborative tools out there, because Skype can do we can do all of this training as well on Skype. But I think they decided to focus only on call. That's why you discover that their value proposition is free internet and video calling. Even though you can do file sharing, you can do conference meetings and call, but they've not positioned themselves as a training element. So the way they position Skype, and Microsoft bought Skype, and the same Microsoft decided to develop Teams. They could have improved Skype as a tool to do all of what we're doing today. You get my point? So different business have the way they think. So
That's
thank you.
Interesting.
Yeah, tell me.
Obviously, for years, I was just saying that it's interesting because I'm just trying to remember. I mean, when I started working, there used to be Microsoft chat, when you'd like have internal chats.
Yeah, an internet
like
chat.
WhatsApp on your laptop, and then for videos we used a Skype. I don't know what you call it, but it had a Skype interface.
Yeah.
On your internal chats.
Yeah.
And then, like, I thought it would get better, but it sort of has stayed that way for all the years that I've been using. It's sort of stayed the same. And now they're buying all these other things, and I'm not quite sure what the vision around there is and where they want to take it. So they get like WhatsApp and like Zoom, and those guys are, I mean, from a bank perspective, it's cheaper to use those versus your Skype, because Skype is more expensive, especially if you're looking at, if you're dealing with people within our continent. You can't afford to spend that on data.
That's true. Again, you also need to understand that many times these big players buy out their competitors. So there's a process of buying out. So you can buy them out and buy them in. So there's a noise somewhere. Okay, so I think what Microsoft did to Skype was just to buy them out. So they bought them in and just to silence them. I don't know, because I don't know why they've not improved. Before, the biggest thing any developer will want to share with you is their Skype ID, so that you guys can talk and share files and share stuff. And I remember there is this tool, I still have it on my laptop, it's called Teams. There was something called Teams before, which we still use, and it was through Teams we can do screen sharing via Skype. There was an interchange between those two companies. But Microsoft just woke up one morning and we saw Microsoft Teams, and that has become like an entire suite, like where everything you want to do is in it. And that's a big one for them. So for Skype, you can see the model, and how do they make money? Skype prepaid and subscription, and of course hardware sales. So now I'm just saying this hardware sales. I need to really understand what hardware they sell. But hardware sales is one of the things, and I'm sure they sell headsets and co. And of course, don't forget that most of those big news companies use them a lot. Like CNN, I know they use Skype. And so maybe perhaps they've just decided to focus that on the video calling and internet call that they offer. Now that is the case study for them. Another example is Flickr. How many of us know Flickr? Are we together? Someone still there with me? All right. Do you know Flickr? It's a photo sharing platform.
Yeah, I never caught on to Flickr.
A lot of us never did, and I think one of the reasons was that it had to do with their key partners, because they partnered with Yahoo, and Yahoo does no longer come to mind when you talk about social platform, I don't know, a community platform. So people see Yahoo more as a male business than a community that they are trying to position themselves to be today. So Flickr, the same thing, they do photo sharing. So their key activities is platform management and selling. Flickr platform brand, storage costs. So so a lot of photographers use them, I know. So they try to snap, take good pictures and store them on Flickr platform. I don't want us to do too much. Gillettes, razors and blades. Which other one do we have here? Kelly's lemonade stand. So this is what we are going to do now. Create your own canvas, okay, of your enterprise projects. Fanelo.
Hi, Tonito.
Yes, sir. So I would want to believe that there is already a soft version of this sent out to the clients. Do we? Have we
Yes.
done it? Okay. So you see the way those sticky notes says guess. Just take your own piece of paper and fill in those spaces.
I confirm with the guys if they did receive my email.
All right. Also, Fanelo, do you share our slides with them? I think
yes.
Yes. Okay. Good one. All right. So Fanelo asked me to confirm. Did you receive the emails sent?
Nothing on my end.
Nothing.
Fanelo?
I also have not received.
So we have all not received our emails.
The last email was when Fanelo says use yesterday's link.
Okay.
Last email I got.
Okay, so that's not the email we're looking for. The email that we are talking about is the email where we have all the contents, the lesson notes, the slides, the business plan, templates, the...
Yeah, got that.
Yeah, we received it.
Oh, you got that. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. So Fanelo also send out this canvas to us too, okay?
I did.
Okay, so that means if you got that email, you also have the canvas.
Can you guys please refresh?
Sorry, Fanelo, is this something you sent today?
No.
Yes.
Was it today?
The BMC activity and the presentation.
Okay. So I think that was sent today. Okay.
Then I haven't got it.
Okay. Just do me a favor, refresh your email. I think you might find them. And if not, please let us know so that we can resend them.
Also refresh on my end. Just came through.
Okay. Thank you.
I just received my phone.
So you're going to go through and do likewise as through how I journeyed us through this training, understanding who your key partners are, your key activities, the key resources you need to carry out your key activities. Keep in one mind, what exactly are people buying? What value are you selling? The value proposition, what are your customer relationship? What are the channels in which you want to reach out to these customers? How do you want to acquire, retain, okay? And boost sales. What are your customer segments? What is your cost structure? And of course, your revenue. And then, so what's beyond the canvas? A business plan. Are you getting it? So it is through this canvas, business model canvas, that we can now dive into a business plan. So that is what it is for today. Do I have questions? Any questions from your end? Talk to me.
No, you go.
No, I'm listening.
Oh, so on my side, so we got the BMC, right? The template.
Yeah.
I is completing mine. So we complete this. This is the exercise. How long do we have?
Till Friday. But then if you complete the activity today, you can send it so that we can review it and send you feedback.
Today is, so yes, today's Wednesday, right? Today's Wednesday. You have 24 hours. At every point in time we send you an assignment, you have 24 hours to submit it so that we can review before the next class. Okay? Is that okay?
Does that?
Any more questions?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Tabo.
Yeah. Okay. Just so I understand. We've got three things to do.
Yes.
There is the MDC in it here. We've got this canvas that we did today.
And the BMC, yeah.
And we've got the business plan.
Okay, so now don't forget that the business plan you're not submitting on Friday. What we're saying to you now is there's a template for the business plan that was sent through to you, and we're saying start now to start to populate those content within your business plan. We are only going to start reviewing your business plan when we start dry run 1. Okay? And dry run 1 looks like we still have value proposition 1, value proposition 2, FMC 1, FMC 2, FMC 3. Are you getting me? Business plan 1. Are you getting it? And business plan 2, then dry run. Meaning there's still about 8 sections to go before we start looking at that. But you would think these 8 sections can happen within just 2 weeks from now. So the earlier you start, the better. Okay? So what you have basically now to submit to us on Friday is number 1, your experimentation board that you have carried out with your customers. Okay? And this business model canvas.
Okay.
Yeah.
The experimentation board, you had said you would send us a template. Are you still going to do that, or should we just create one ourselves?
Yes. In Fanello, you said, okay, I said I'm going to look for a PDF, a PowerPoint version. So I will do that and I will send to the group, okay?
Okay.
Yes, I'll do that and send to the group. I'll look for that and send to the group.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Questions?
Great.
Yes, Tabu?
Tonito.
Yes, sir.
Is Reginald still here? I think he wanted you to take him through the BMC.
No, so I said to him that there is an audio that was recorded and a video, I think. So I'm going to share that with the group so you can just look through them. Just listen through and open the slide in front of you. I think you'll be able to match what I'm saying to the slide as you look at them, all right? Are we good to go? All right. In absence of no question, I think this is where we call to this class a quiz. And we thank you to all of you who made time to join us today. And finally, when is our next class? Friday?
Sorry?
When is our next class? Tomorrow.
Thursday.
Is it tomorrow?
No, next week, Thursday.
That's next class.
Yes.
Why? Okay, don't worry, we'll discuss that later. Okay. So that means you have plenty of time to enjoy and go do business and make some money for yourself as well, okay?
Okay.
All right, so thank you all.
So the Friday class is not?
No, there's no class on Friday. You're just submitting an assignment, okay? Just submit.
Okay, the thing is, I'm seeing on my calendar there's a general meeting on Friday, so I'm trying to understand that this is not with CYJ, it's with BU. That's what I'm trying to understand.
I think so. I think that's what it is. It's not with CYJ. It must be with BU. But definitely we would confirm and then we align back with you guys. Okay, please. All right. Thank you all and do have a great day ahead. God bless you all.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.